What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today has been one big storm of just loads of gaming blogs, I guess you could say, websites, articles, we're talking IGN and a bunch more, reporting on the, I guess you could say, the response from the president of Square Enix regarding the game's loss in terms of revenue and just the situation regarding the state as a whole. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about because now the fear has rapidly increased as to whether or not the plug is going to be pulled. And I know us as a community, as fans of, the Avengers, as fans of Marvel as a whole, that we're pretty dedicated to this, right? Like, I genuinely feel we're going to go to the end until the plug is pulled for this game. But that leads into my question, where I just want you guys to leave a simple yes or no in the comments below. Within the next 12 months, or maybe 24 months, let's say, to be more realistic, do you think the plug will be pulled on this game? Just let me know yes or no in the comments below. Don't forget to drop a like. Let's try and crush 6 likes. I'm also doing a giveaway where there is a matter of days left to enter with Instant Gaming, where we are going to be giving away a game of your choice. So visit that link in the description below. But diving into the news, because it was in a recently translated investor briefing, which is via IGN, where the president of Square Enix, who goes by the name Yusuke Matsuda, I really hope that's how you pronounce it, but in a nutshell, he just came out and was completely honest that, hey, if the Avengers had not been released in the quarter, the company would have made a profit. And past that, he confirms that in addition to being responsible for a loss for the company, the game has not even made back its development costs. But hey, that's something we already know, right? But now, he's come out with the exact, I guess, reason and why he feels and, moving forward the direction as well for this game's state. So, his exact words were, another significant factor associated with the title was the fact that we undertook a major advertising campaign at the time of its launch to make up for delays in our marketing efforts, resulting basically from just everything that happened this year. And of course that in turn leaves a certain amount of development costs still to be recouped, I guess you could say, right? But we want to be able to recoup it by growing our sales going forward. Now this is where it gets interesting, right? So Paul Tassi is a great guy to bring up here. Paul Tassi writes for Forbes and done an article regarding this, and his exact words were, the idea that the president of Square Enix now says is basically to essentially pull a No Man's Sky by releasing, and I quote, ample additional content, because that's what was stated as his game plan moving forward, right? And that's what we know is going to be coming for free. And that, of course, is starting literally from, not next week, the week after with Kate Bishop. And look, it's safe to say that although we're going to get, new missions and a new villain, possibly 2 new villains, there are also plans for Hawkeye, right, to arrive early 2021, along with Maestro, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, Winter Soldier, War Machine. The list really goes on. But the question is, can Avengers pull this off? Now this is what Paul Tassi is saying, and what he mentioned is key, because he says, how much time and money will Square Enix continue to devote to the game in order to make this comeback happen, right? Because the key difference between what happened with No Man's Sky was that it was a small studio without investors to answer to. And then, Hello Games simply went heads down and pumped out huge content updates for years. But Square Enix, in a nutshell, because they, of course, are a much bigger company and they've got people to answer to, they've got licensing, for this game, and there's a bunch of stuff in the background, like just business perspective wise, that I could imagine is an absolute nightmare. So it ultimately comes down to, do they have the patience, and what about Marvel basically just not enjoying that its license is being used for essentially, at this moment in time, if you basically were to say, is this game successful or did it fail? Right now, from an overall perspective, people would say, well, this is a failed game, unfortunately. So this is where the fear is like, hey, could the plug be pulled well before the years of content that we were basically promised that was planned for this game? Now this is where I have to say, I don't really know, and I genuinely do not think, right, the plug will be pulled, if I have to be completely honest. The reason I say that is because there's almost too many different directions to go where they can just recoup players, right, and ultimately recoup sales, revenue, all that stuff. You guys know I've been talking about in my last video or the video before regarding the fact that the game's now go on sale. Fair enough, it's Black Friday, all the sales and so forth. Like, yes, it's 50% off, right? So it's a no-brainer if you were someone who was just speculating the situation of this game. Like, overall, for 30 bucks, you really cannot complain. You'll get a great game, right, for 30 bucks. So it's a no-brainer that the numbers went up for that. Again, we were talking about the Steam numbers the other day, which are still, I guess, steadily kind of there. I mean, they're not really increasing more dramatically, but they did. They did in that first 24 hours. So again, we don't know the console numbers, but I'd imagine those literally skyrocketed, right? Because the numbers were still in the millions, bear in mind, on consoles. So again, it's kind of like a grey area regarding that stuff. But what's interesting is I said that I genuinely feel when it comes down to the big update, right, because something that's planned and the game will not have the plug pulled before this, and that is when they release Spider-Man, okay, because that is the big licensing should I say, deal that I personally feel is in place at this moment in time. Now, that's a big character that is a huge fan favorite regarding superheroes, right? So is the plug going to be pulled before this character? Absolutely not, but I genuinely reckon by the time we get to that, they're just going to make this game like a free-to-play game exclusively for, like, for instance, PlayStation Plus members, because, hey, the exclusives with Sony and so forth, like that business relationship, yeah, I guess it makes sense, right? And again, with a big superhero also being added into the game for free, could I add, going on the basis that there's still going to be a ton of improvements by then, also taking into account that we're still waiting on the next gen release, which was delayed, because I guess now, I mean, I don't know how much we're talking money wise, right, but the question is the game still going to come out on next gen? Yes, because that's their relaunch, but it's definitely going to happen when Spider-Man basically gets added into the game. But by the time that happens, definitely a free-to-play on PlayStation Plus. I mean, it's going to be one of those monthly deals. I'm calling it now, and if it isn't, I mean, it'd be a very crazy opportunity to miss, but I genuinely just reckon that's the direction we're going in. But hey, after hearing this from the president himself of Square Enix, I guess it leaves you with hope, and is also leaving you with fear regarding that plug being pulled. But overall, I mean, I've said it in the last couple of videos, I still feel like fans are going to support the game nonetheless, right? Because we still want this to do good, and we're still heading in some sort of good direction, right? Yes, it's been horrible so far, but it's still a good direction because we're finally getting Kate Bishop, right? I mean, if Kate Bishop gets delayed, then, I mean, that would just be crazy, but so far we're on schedule for that December, right? So we got to see how that plays out and then go from there. But like I said, now we have the words from the man himself, so let's just see how that goes down. But guys, I'll see you in the next one. Till then, have yourselves a ridiculously amazing day, and adios amigos.